What's up guys, today I'm reviewing Star Trek Discovery Season 2. This season, Captain Pike from the Enterprise unites with the crew from Discovery to investigate a series of mysterious signals across the galaxy. So, right off the bat, this season's better than Season 1 by quite a bit. I had a few problems with Season 1. Season 1 rarely felt like Star Trek. It was also rushing through things, it was very fast paced, very action packed. It was also way too dark for my liking. This season corrects all of that. It's got a much lighter, cheerful tone at times. It's still dark in moments, but its pacing is way better. The characters actually get a bit more time to breathe and to develop themselves. Even the side characters have more time this season. It's just a really damn good season of TV. The story, I think, is more interesting and engaging than Season 1. In Season 1, it was a war story, filled with twists and turns, a few surprises here and there, but a lot of the surprises in Season 1 felt a little forced for the sake of just shock and awe. This season does have surprises, it does have the twists and turns, but it also has the initial setup, which I think is just way more fascinating and interesting. This season is a mystery which the crew has to investigate. It's not just, oh, they're fighting in a war. One of the things I liked about this season is the way in which it pays homage to Star Trek shows and films of the past. Now, this is where some of the problems are also present. If you consider this, if you're looking at this show as part of the larger Star Trek franchise, you're gonna find a lot of problems. So the best thing I can say about this is just treat it as its own thing. As long as this isn't relating too much to the other Star Trek shows, the continuity is there. It does make sense, I think, for the most part. So yeah, big hardcore Star Trek fans will find problems as long as they're trying to link it up with all the things that have came before. So without getting into spoilers, I will be getting into spoilers in just a moment. There's time travel elements in this season. Again, I'm not going to go into big details here, but these time travel elements can be a little confusing, can be a little convoluted, but I think it does tie everything up together nicely towards the end in what is a spectacular, action-packed finale. Again, not going into too much spoilers. Yeah, it's a show that you kind of have to pay attention to, otherwise you're probably going to miss a few things and you're going to get confused. But if you've seen the recent J.J. Abrams and Justin Lin films, this is going to be right up your alley if you like them ones, because it's action packed, it's fast paced, great characters, there's good comedy in there at times as well. You've also got some homages to past Star Trek. It feels like modern Trek, the way Trek should be now, I would say. And it's not just action either, there are moments where it does dive into more traditional Star Trek storytelling, here and there. One little nitpicky thing about the story is that you do have to have seen the Star Trek short treks. Now I'm saying this because chances are you might not have watched these. I believe there was 4 of them set between season 1 and 2. The reason you have to see these is because one of them delves into the backstory of a particular character which becomes really important this season, and another one introduces a character who is really important this season. So if you haven't seen the Star Trek short treks, go check them out, then watch this. So to move on and talk about the characters, the big new additions this season are Captain Pike and Spock. Let's talk about Captain Pike first. He's brilliant. Anson Mount is brilliant as Captain Pike. I think he's instantly gone up there as one of my personal favourite Star Trek captains of all time. He's got a charm to him, he's got a sense of humour about him, he's not deadly serious. He's one of the reasons this season has a bit more of a lighter tone than the past season. Spock, meanwhile, Ethan Peck plays Spock this season. What I liked about this interpretation of Spock is that it's not just him copying Leonard Nimoy or Zachary Quinto. He's really putting his own stamp on it, and I think he's just a really fascinating, interesting character this season. I've never been huge on Spock, I'll be honest. I do like Star Trek, but Spock is just one of them characters where I'm like, why is all the attention on him? This season, it kind of delves into that a bit more, and yeah, it's really quite fascinating and interesting what they do with his character. One of the things I really liked about this season is that the side characters get way more attention. So in the first season, the side characters were kind of just there filling the background. Some of them had unique, interesting looks about them, but I never even knew what their names were. They barely had any lines to say. They barely done anything in the story. This season, that's changed. They do get things to say. I do know some of their names now. They do seem fairly interesting. But again, they are the side supporting characters, so they're not playing huge roles. But it's an improvement over the first season. Then you've got the main characters. Michael Burnham is a great lead character. The one little nitpicky thing about this is that because she's the main character, everything kind of revolves around her. And it eventually it just kind of comes like, why is so much of this happening focusing on you? And it just becomes a bit annoying and a little repetitive because you have got this big cast of characters and individuals. Why is everything all about her? Then you've got the Klingons. The Klingons in Season 1, I really did not like. I do not like the new makeup, I do not like the new look. This season, they add hair to the Klingons, and they try to make them look closer to how they looked in The Next Generation and Deep Space Nine and onwards, which is a nice touch. But the problem is, the prosthetics and the makeup looks really heavy. It looks like it's cumbersome, and it's affecting their performance. It constantly seems like they're talking with something over their mouth, like that. And it's just odd. Also, it doesn't help that the Klingons, they're just a little boring this season. Yeah, we've seen Klingons before, we know what they're all about, and clearly the writers are just tapping into that again, and they're not really exploring them in a new, interesting way. Sadly, that's also kind of the only aliens that are in this season. There are one or two here or there, but it's a little disappointing that you've got this big universe filled with aliens, and the only ones that ever get any real attention are the Klingons. So to talk about production, this is where the show really shines, and I mean that literally as well, because the special effects, the CGI, are brilliant. At times it looks like a big budget film. It's really action-packed, really exciting. Some of the stuff in there is damn impressive for a TV show. And I mentioned earlier how there's a big battle this season. This season does what I would say is a sci-fi equivalent to what Game of Thrones is doing in terms of battles. I'm not going to go into spoilers, not going to go into too many details or specifics, but it's a big epic battle in this season. A lot of great action in there. Again, no spoilers, but there's an Inception-like fight towards the end of the season, which is really cool. This season is just really nailing it when it comes to the action, when it comes to making things exciting and interesting. It's doing things that Star Trek hasn't done before, but also things that most TV shows don't even attempt. So that's damn impressive. But there's good acting, great sets and props. The new Enterprise set, because you do get to see the Enterprise this season, they've updated it to look more modern, but it is meant to be the original Enterprise set. It looks great. Yes, it's a bit more generic, but it's a modern interpretation of it. I think it looks good for what it is. The pacing's brilliant. It's non-stop all the way through. Yeah, you've got a couple of episodes that aren't quite as good as others. There are 14 episodes overall, but it's action-packed as well, so that helps. It never slows down, really. The story constantly feels like it's adding something that's important and relevant to it. Towards the end, things get a little iffy when there are twists concerning the villains and what's going on and so on. You have to kind of just bear with it at that point and see it through, because it is worth it in the end, I think. So I've kind of touched on this with the sets, but this has a modern, more updated look for Star Trek, which is of course really at odds with past Star Trek shows. Now, yes, you could go in and try and replicate the past Star Trek shows in the very minute details of it, but then it probably wouldn't look good on modern TVs. So I think it's just one of them things where you've just got to accept that yes, they've made some changes, they've updated it. This is what Star Trek is now. So those are my thoughts on Star Trek Discovery Season 2. I thought it was great. One of the best shows I've seen this year. I've really liked it a lot. I'm going to go into spoilers now, so if you haven't seen Discovery Season 2, go watch that, come back, watch the rest of this. If you are leaving now though, I'm Grant Burton. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at @the_Grant Burton, and you can subscribe to my channel, give me a thumbs up, let me know what you thought of Star Trek Discovery Season 2 in the comments down below. And until next time, thanks for watching. But full spoilers now. So one of the big reveals towards the end of the season is that Michael Burnham is responsible for all of the signals being leaked out across the galaxy. I predicted that really early on. I mean, she's the main character. You knew she had to be involved somehow. it was pretty obvious that she was the one doing it. So the whole reveal about her being the one responsible for it was a little underwhelming to me. And if I can figure that out, so can other people. And I've touched on this before. Why is everything all about her? Why is everything all about Spock? Yes, they've got a great relationship. Their backstory is really fascinating and interesting. I like the way it delves into that a lot this season. But why is the actual central mystery so intertwined with what is their life? It just doesn't make sense to me when you've got this huge, larger open world universe and tons of characters in there, but everything's about these two individuals. So the final battle is the final episode, is one big battle. It's a science fiction version of Game of Thrones towards the end, I would say. Really impressive special effects. A lot of it is just model ships, a lot of CGI, I believe, with loads of lights flashing between them. So it's not like the most detailed battle ever. It does what it has to do. Really action-packed, really exciting and epic, and it's a damn good finale. So I talked about Pike. I think he's brilliant. He is only going to be in this season though, because they announced it on a news website that he was only going to be in this season. Why give that away? Why spoil it? But oh well, they made it public. He is only in this season. That's disappointing. If you know Captain Pike, you know that in the main Star Trek timeline, his fate is not a happy one. He does not have a good story towards the end of his storyline. And this season does hint towards that, and it does make you think it's leading towards that. But then all of a sudden it doesn't. Yeah, I don't know if they've changed the timeline or not. I don't know if that's just not yet to come. But this is where the old time travel stuff, and particularly when it comes to the time crystals that are introduced this season, it all becomes a little confusing and convoluted. Has Captain Pike changed the future? Is this now an alternate reality? Or has the stuff that we know happens just not happened yet? So, yeah, maybe Season 3 will answer that. I don't think so, because again, he's not going to be back. At least, as far as I'm aware, that hasn't changed. So, yeah, a little odd how his storyline could just kind of stop and we're left to make assumptions about it. So the time crystals are introduced this season. I touched on this already. When Captain Pike picks up the time crystal, the Klingon says something along the lines of, you can accept this fate or move on, kind of. And he picks up the time crystal, so are we led to assume that this is set in stone, there's no change in the future? It all becomes a little odd and confusing because they never really explain what these time crystals do, how they work exactly. Also, is the future set in stone? Are we getting into elements of fate and destiny and so on? I'm not sure that's something that Star Trek's really touched upon too much before. In the past, with time travel episodes, they've always been like trying to change things and so on. But this kind of says otherwise a little bit. I don't know. Again, it just doesn't get explained very well. There are some loose threads left open for potential future seasons, maybe even spin-off seasons. So Discovery is now like 1,000 years into the future, the furthest we've ever been in the Star Trek universe. That's clearly going to be what Season 3 is about. But then you've also got characters who are still in the past. Are they just gone now? Are we not going to look at them anymore? I don't know. We know that Philippa Georgiou is going to get her own spin-off season, but she's in the future now. So does that mean she comes back to the past, or is her spin-off season in the future? Because last I heard, her spin-off season is going to be about Section 31. So if Section 31's in the past, and she's in the future, I don't know. There's a lot of loose threads, including Michael Burnham's mother, who was also in the future. Clearly, that's going to be a storyline in the next season. So yeah, it does leave things a little open, and it's not like open as in, oh, he has a big stinger at the end that really makes you hype for the next season. It just kind of sends them to the future, and that's the last you see of them. There's nothing like compelling me to come back and watch the next season, although I will come back and watch the next season. So that's my thoughts on Star Trek Discovery Season 2. I liked it a lot. So thanks for watching this review. Twitter, Instagram at @_Grant Burton. Subscribe, yada yada yada. Let me know what you thought of this. Thanks for watching.